When I was a kid, I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, and I was fascinated by cities and how they worked. And my parents, my dad, brought home a computer from work one day, and I saw a potential to kind of manifest one of my obsessions with cities, which were maps. Like, just understanding what was going on in any particular area of the city, what was happening. And with the computer, I saw an opportunity to actually make that live and make it real and make it something that I could move around and manage and change. And I didn't know how to do it. I recognized that I had this significant gap. I had this machine, but I had no idea how to change it, to engineer it, to program it, to alter it to what I wanted it to do. So I went out, and the amazing thing about St. Louis at the time is we had this pretty rich hacker community who was very interested in sharing their tips and their tricks and everything that they learned. And I learned a bunch just by reading and by talking, and then I learned a little bit more, and then I learned the basics of programming, and then I pushed myself to figure out what the next issue was and solve that. And eventually I got to a state where I could draw a map on my dad's computer screen.
How were you when you got to the point where you could draw the map?
14 or 15.
Wow. And when did you start getting passionate about computers? At what point was that when the computer came home? What age were you with that?
When the computer came home, that was the first, but it was on loan for my dad's work, and I don't think I've ever been passionate about computers.
Wow.
I never, when I was a kid, I never wanted to be an engineer. I never imagined myself programming, but it's a skill I value so much, not because of the engineering aspect or the outcome of being a programmer, but it was the best and most tangible and fastest way for me to understand how to solve problems. And programming, like it's just a mental model, and there's many, but it's a mental model of asking essential questions, of being able to identify problems, break the problems into smaller parts, go after each of the smaller parts, and figure out how to create a solution around it. And when you extract that beyond computing and computers and technology, everything that we're doing in the world is identifying problems and then coming up with creative solutions that we hope resonate with a broad audience. So computing and programming and technology has been a tool more so than a passion.
But hustle is not enough. You have to have hard work, but you got to understand the systems. And I think what I heard you say is you may not have been passionate about becoming an engineer or computing itself, but that's the gateway you had to get through to get to the place that gave you power. Is that right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned in my career is how can I push myself to ask more essential, fundamental questions that get to a clear statement of the problem I'm trying to solve. And just one example of this, which was really enlightening for me, but also created immense value within Square. We had a fork in the road. So when we started Square 10 years ago.
Okay.
And it was me and my co-founder, Jim McKelvey, who was my boss, my second boss after my mom. She had a little coffee store in St. Louis, Missouri, where I'm from. And I originally met him when I was 15, and I worked for his company, and we reconnected 10 years ago and said we want to work on something together. And since that moment, he became a glass artist, and he was trying to sell glass art. And one day, someone came up and wanted to purchase it with a credit card, and he couldn't accept it. And he called me in frustration and said, I have this supercomputer next to my ear, and yet I can't do this very simple thing of just accepting this payment. This is the problem we should work on. And we started, and we gave ourselves a month, and we knew nothing about credit cards. We were both in credit card debt. I was $250,000 in debt. He was in debt. We knew nothing about building hardware. We knew nothing about connecting it with the financial networks.
Had you created Twitter back by then?
I had created Twitter.
Okay.
But all of my worth was tied up in the stock.
Right.
So there's nothing liquid.
Nothing liquid, right?
No. So we gave ourselves a month, and then we built something that actually worked. And we figured out how to do the hardware, we figured out how to do the software, figured out how to connect it to the rails, and then we were excited by it. We thought, wow, this is amazing. It feels amazing, and we should show some other people. And we found this woman named Sherry, and she had a flower cart named Lilybell. And we went up to her and we said, have you ever accepted credit cards before? And she said, no. When I went to try to accept credit cards, I went to a bank and they checked my credit, and I didn't have a good credit score, so I was denied. And that was...
Whoa, slow down. Oh.
Yeah.
Did you just say you didn't have a good credit score?
Yeah.
So I have a financial coach outside.
No.
No, but it's cool. Even Jack Dorsey.
Oh, I had a terrible credit score, but she wasn't able to get in because she also didn't have a good credit score.
Wow.
And this made no sense. Like, she was signing up to accept people's money.
Yeah.
And she could not do that based on her credit.
Yeah.
It just made no sense whatsoever. So we took the no, and then we promised to go back next week, and we went back next week, and she said, we said, do you want to try it now? We made it a little bit better. And she said, no, I want to keep it simple. I don't want to mess with, I had a bad experience I don't want to mess with anymore. Went back the third week, and we said, a little bit better now. Will you try it? She's like, guys, just leave me alone. Like, I don't want to try this thing. And then this guy comes up, and he wants to buy flowers, and he hands over a credit card. And she says, I don't accept that, cash only. You can go around the corner, and there's an ATM. And we watch him take his card, and then go around the corner, and we wait 5 minutes with her. We wait 10 minutes with her, wait 20 minutes with her, and she turns to us and she says, I'll try this thing out. And we didn't realize it right then, but we were going down a path of building software and a credit card terminal, hardware, right? And that is a very, very, very small space. Have you all seen those like black rectangular boxes on the side of countertops?
Right, yeah.
That is that space.
Where you swipe.
That is it. It's a very focused and small industry. So about 6 months after that moment, we asked, was Sherry actually trying to accept a credit card? No. She was trying to make a sale.
That's right.
She was trying to make a sale. And then with that mindset shift, if you focus on the problem of how do you help someone make the sale, then it really creates this massive horizon of solutions.
Right.
So accepting a credit card is just one. Building register is another. Loaning people money, Square Capital is another.
It was Jackie was here yesterday.
So suddenly we went from being a very, very small business to one that has the potential to create a ton of value in the world, and all under this principle of helping the seller make the sale instead of doing the very mechanical technology focusing of swiping a credit card.
I actually saw, if I recall, there's also something where you guys help small businesses schedule appointments or something like that?
Yeah, we have an appointments product. We have a retail point of sale. We have a restaurant point of sale. We do food delivery.
You do food delivery?
We do food delivery. We have Cash App.
And my wife uses your Cash App. Wears it out. Yeah.
So yeah, we've that one question back in the first year of the company allowed us to have these suite of services and these products, and even think of things, be able to have the freedom to think of things like Cash App and to sustain that business for some time and allow it to thrive and to grow.
Now, Jack, I now understand better why you kept talking to me about let's reimagine credit scores. Credit scores are cool, and they have a purpose, and it's the way the society is. But you said, John, let's also reimagine. Is there another way to qualify people, to give them more human dignity? How about not have them qualify, but yeah, let them. How about you're qualified already, and you step into your deserved reality. So your personal story of what happened with you, and you had a personal credit challenge, that informs me, and that small business owner informs me about why you asked that question. You're doing some really innovative stuff in this particular area. You want to tell us a little bit about that? This whole reimagining credit.
Well, so I mean, one decision that led to was we decided that we're not going to require a credit check when you onboard on Square. So what that meant was that the credit card industry is only accepting about 30 to 40% of people who are actually applying to start accepting credit cards. We took that number to 99%. So we
Wow.
focused on making sure that we're bringing in as many people as possible, we're trusting, and we're verifying. So trust, verify, trust, verify, trust,
Accept,
verify.
trust, verify.
So most of our businesses follow that basic model, but Square's business model is really unique in that we just need to focus on one thing for the seller business, which is how do we help a seller make the sale. That's it. And
That's it.
ideally, if we can help them make more sales. What's interesting, if we can help them make more sales, then they can grow their business. And if they grow their business, we grow our business. And if we grow our business, then we can serve more sellers like them who might just be getting started or might be wanting to go to multiple locations or whatnot. So,
And I'm going to take a leap here, but you correct me if I'm wrong. And as you have more experience with, you accept, you verify, you have this experience with sellers. As you get more experience with the merchants making the sale, they're building a reputation within the Square family, and that reputation, that behavior set, that dependability set, allows you to have a predictability about who they are as a business entity, credibility, credit, that will then allow your Square Capital to allow them to access capital in the future for their business. I just took a long jump shot here. Did I get that right?
that's absolutely right. So we started with this simple thing of payments and then built point of sale. And then because we didn't rely upon the older industry practice of credit checks, we built this relationship with our sellers where we could actually understand what their business was doing.
Okay.
And how their business was flowing. And what that enabled us to do was eventually to say, well, we can, because we have such a deep and trusted understanding of our customers, we can actually lend money proactively. And what was interesting about the lending market that we got into was a lot of banks, even community banks, can't really make money on any loans under $10,000. This is what we found when we were getting started.
That's pretty much true.
And so there's this really unique space where our average loan size for Square Capital right now is about $6,000 to $7,000.
Wow.
So these are people who are not, we're not competing with banks here. We're competing with people going to their friends or to their family and
Or
asking
check
for money.
cashers or payday loan lenders. Yeah.
Yep. So that is a competitive set.
Right.
And that is just so much more interesting and so much more dynamic than just competing with the banking industry. So we can increase the access by reframing the problem and looking at the other options that people would have and being a solution right there. And Square Capital is interesting because you get an email and you click on a link and you get $5,000 into your account next
Wow.
day. And then the way you pay that loan back is every time you swipe your card, or you swipe a customer's card, we add a fee on top of it to pay the loan back as you're actually doing your business. So you don't have to think about lending or loans or anything.
Wow.
But all this does have a potential, and this, this is something that we talked about. All this does have a potential of building new forms of credibility
Yes.
that can be used elsewhere.
Credibility.
Right.
Credibility. That's really cool. That last piece is sexy. So, as the business grows, they're able to repay the loan from proceeds from the growth versus having to dig into their savings to try to decide whether I'm gonna pay rent or pay you.
Never, like we don't. I mean, we don't want people to think about the lending or loan process.
Right.
We want our incentive, our best interest is how do we save one of our sellers' time, one of our customers' time, so that they can focus on the most important thing, which is growing their business. If they have to think about a loan process, if they have to think about repayment, if they have to think about all these other things, that takes time away from the most important thing that we also benefit from. Because if they grow their business, we also grow our business, and
Yes.
we can serve more businesses like them. So we approach it from that mindset of like, how do we remove the burden of process? How do we remove the burden of these institutions so that we're refocusing on the customer needs? And the customer need is, how do I sell this bottle of water? How do I sell this coffee? How do I make this, in my mom's case, how do I make a craft and experience that people want to come into, they want to talk, they want to discuss, they want to hang out, they're buying some coffee? That's what someone like my mom should be focused on, not
Let the business disappear.
let the business, yeah. Doesn't need to be there.
Yeah. Focus. I think when, it's such an organic conversation. It reminds me, I think back when human beings were first being developed, we had a choice. We could either put our economy inside of our culture, or we could put our culture inside of our economy. And I think we, unfortunately, thousands of years ago, Jack, put our culture inside of our economy. Now everything's for sale. Everything's about money. So it's not like I choose money because I'm obsessed with money or obsessed with banking. This is the way the world works. I'm trying to get you to understand the way the world works. Somebody told me last week, if you don't understand how America works, you will fail. So my philosophy, your philosophy is you want to, in this particular example of Square, you want to help that seller, you want to help that company, that business make the sale or complete the sale. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's empowerment for all. So don't come to me, whoever it is, unless you're talking about empowerment for all. Whatever it is, it's empowerment for all. And everything else radiates around that mission and has to serve it. And I think that's much more holistic, organic. It's not about money. It's not about me. And if you do that well, the money will come.
Absolutely. It's about access. So it goes back to that thing, like the one thing I want to improve in myself every single day is how do I identify problems and ask essential questions about how to solve these problems better. Like that's everything we do is just, building these organizations to solve problems in unique and differentiated ways. And in our case, in Square's case, our purpose is economic empowerment. So our goal is increase access.
Wow.
Right? So we want to solve problems that increase access. Removing the barrier of a credit check, increase access. Trusting and verifying and accepting as many people as possible coming in, increased access. And these were not intuitive problems to solve, but they became obvious once we actually got into the work and we asked the right questions.
And this is a real stretch now, do you walk to work every day a couple miles, isn't it?
5 miles.
5 miles every day. It's not like you can't afford a car to get you there. Do you walk to work every day so that you can think and reflect on these big ideas? I mean, is this almost like a meditational space?
Well, I will say, like, almost every aspect of my life has evolved around this walk to work. My outfit, I wear all black because no one can see me sweat. I wear very baggy shirts because they don't stick to me if I do sweat. And right now I'm just having a bad hair year, so I'm wearing this skinny thing. But yeah, I 3.5 years ago when I went back to Twitter, it forced me, because I was taking on new responsibilities, and it forced me to rethink a lot of how I was living my life. And it forced me to put a premium on health. And the simplest, although ridiculous, path to do that for myself was to walk to work. And I live 5 miles away from the office. But I saw it as a benefit because I would wake up, I would do my meditation, I would have my coffee, I would check my phone, and then at 7:30 I just walk. And some days I listen to nothing, some days I listen to podcasts, audiobooks, some days I take phone calls. But I have the other thing is I wear these running sandals that you saw me in.
Running sandals?
Yeah.
Oh, the running sandals?
So they're running sandals.
Oh,
so
cool.
they're the fastest footwear I found. So when I originally started walking to work, it was 1 hour and 45 minutes, and I got it down to 1 hour and 15 minutes by changing my outfit, by changing my shoes, and it's so predictable. So 7:30, I get there exactly at the same time every single time, and I know I have this amazing amount of space to think, to be creative, to learn, most importantly, from podcasts and audiobooks.
Yeah.
But it's really, defined a lot of what enables me to do what I do, because it just takes so much. I know I always have that place, and I always know when I get in the office that I started the day with a win because I walked 5 miles, which is ridiculous and kind of stupid, but
It's beautiful.
I learned.
Yeah.
I exercised.
Yeah.
I was in my community. I saw the city.
Yeah.
I met people.
Yeah.
And I'm happy.
We're about out of time, but and I did want to ask you this one last question of because I think we're both in many ways disruptors, positive disruptors, and we both, I think, value this calm, quiet place inside of us that has to exist with all the noise circling around us. I think you get that through your walk. And I think you, in many ways, you're still walking. I mean, you're not walking to work, but you have now adopted that in the way you flow through life. And I walk through life consciously oblivious of most things around me, because a lot of it's noise and it's not productive. And I want to focus my time and my energy on the thing that I want to invest in selfishly, so that I can be unselfish with the outcome of that investment, which is others. But I can't do that if I'm giving myself to everybody every second. Now I'm depleted. So this walking to work is not only just good health and mental acuity, it's good strategy. I mean, it's just good business strategy. Let me ask you this larger question. If you could change the world, when we change the world, what does it look like? And it doesn't include a generation of small business owners and black and brown capitalists that you create from scratch, entrepreneurs, women-owned business. I mean, what is this, where is this going to?
Where is it going to? I mean, to me, the beautiful thing about building on the internet and building companies like this is our customers show us where they want it to go to. And if we are good observers, if we can, to your point, if we can focus on what they're trying to tell us, not tell us directly, but tell us with the activities and the patterns, that to me feels most important. Like we should not necessarily be dictating where this world goes. We need to understand the consensus of where it needs to go and where people are bringing it through very, very simple tools that we can glean insights from. So that's number one. But I mean, I'm a huge, in the financial access space, I'm a huge fan of what we're seeing around cryptocurrency and blockchain and Bitcoin. And the reason why is because I haven't seen any other technology that points to a truly global future, that points to a native currency for the internet, which means a currency for the world. And currency is communication, it's conversation. And it does enable meaningful things to happen. And watching those flows and unrestricting those flows to any part in the world, but from any individual on the planet, independent of where they are from, can access and participate in exactly the same way. That is what this technology is enabling. So I want to do whatever possible to make that happen as quickly as possible, and certainly see it in my lifetime.
And my guess is your vision is global,
Oh yeah.
including Africa.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
everywhere,
baby.
everywhere.
So in closing, I brought Jack here. I asked Jack to come here because you are an innovator and a disruptor, and he had built this global business, but Twitter and increasingly Square, and backed by Square Capital and products like Cash. And I thought it would be instructive for people here to reimagine themselves. I think, though, we've got something different as a result of this. I think that what we have just experienced, it reminds me almost of the session we had with Deepak Chopra yesterday, just with a business overlay to it. It's purpose with a passion. And when you take God's energy, when you take spirituality and frame it and you plug it into a wall, you short circuit the whole hotel. You shut it down. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in saying thank you to Jack Dorsey.